All right, there we go. Hello everyone, how's it going? Team here, and this is Next.js livestream, and it's been literally ages since I've done one of those. So here we are. I'm trying to pick my regular schedule back up, and today we are going to be working on Next.js website, the new version, and I'm going to show you my new favorite stack for building web services. It is basically Next.js and Hasura as a backend. If you watched my channel before, you know that we actually tried using Hasura version 1 quite some time ago, and it wasn't quite there yet. So it is right now version 2 already, although it is still a pre-release, but man, is it so damn good right now. We're going to use it to build a new Next.js website, which will contain, you know, the whole like machine learning and everything that we talked about for the podcasts. And because I have a few more giveaways coming up, I thought that I would also make a giveaway section there so that I don't have to manually pick the comments from YouTube, which is just, you know, a hassle basically. So we're going to do that as well. But first, of course, we're going to set it up. So let's get cracking. Hey, Tim, welcome to the stream. Hey, Kevin, welcome to the stream. All right, so as usual, here's our folder, which I don't actually think I've done anything to it before that. So let me just double check. I believe it should be yes. So we are up to date. I haven't actually touched it. So I do have the Hasura folder here. I do have the front end folder here that does include the ESLint stuff, but that's about it. I'm pondering if we want to, yeah, I guess it doesn't matter if we put it on the top level. So I guess the front end folder works just fine for it. So I think this is scaffolded from, I don't remember from where. I think it's like create next app or something maybe, or maybe it's one of my templates. But so we definitely don't need. Let me think for a second. Do we even care? I mean, we do care about the whole like ESLint setup because we do need that. But I'm thinking maybe we should. I'm thinking, do we need that in a root folder? We have the ESLint RC here, so I guess not. I guess we don't really need it in a root folder. We just need that in dev dependencies. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna right. So we need next dev here, and we need next here. I think that's all we need. So pre-tier and lint I'm gonna keep. This looks fine. So we got next and React DOM. That is fine. Although I believe the next is already like a few versions up. I think it's like 10.2 or something right now. But that is perfectly fine. Let's call it version 2.0 because we already have 1.0, right? So we're going to be doing that. Hey, Marina, welcome to the stream. All right, let me just go into the front-end folder and do npm install. You know what? I should probably make this bigger because keep forgetting to do that. Again, it's been a while since I've streamed anything. Okay, and did I do the next thing correctly? Let me just go to Next.js.org and see the docs. So we got manual setup. Next start. Okay, so that should be starts, and dev is next dev. Okay, cool. So that looks fine. Now let's create our pages folder, and let's create our index.js just to make sure that it actually works. Export defaults just to try something. It should be h1 hello world, right? So just to make sure that this thing actually works, let's do the basic setup, commit that, and then start working on the Hasura end, because this is sort of basically you take a few hours, I guess, to set up the Hasura itself, right? But after that, it saves you so much time. You literally don't have to do anything there. Just like configure a bunch of rules, create a bunch of tables visually, so no SQL involved or anything. It generates the migrations for you. It generates the rules for you. You just press buttons and you get the backend ready, basically. It is mind-blowingly cool. But okay, npm run dev is what we want to do. So that theoretically, can we open the website? Theoretically, it should start working, right? Ta-da-da, yes, okay. Our anonymous arrow functions cause fast refresh to not preserve local state. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. We're gonna change the component anyway. It's actually kind of cool that they started writing this warning, because before I remember it used to just basically silently fail with, you know, or not preserve the state, I guess, not fail, with the anonymous functions, and now it actually tells you, hey, you probably want to name your function so that the fast refresh can work. Okay, cool. So we got this set up. Let's make sure analyze this works. Cannot find the config standard. Okay, so I guess I am. No, that should work. Hey, Carlos, welcome to the stream. Yes, nice to see you guys as well. I mean, it's been too damn long. Okay, config standard was referenced. Okay, so I guess we do want to move ESLint over here, right? And ESLint. Okay, npm run analyze. So that I think should work. There we go. Oh boy, okay, that is not what we want. So we need to say prettier ignore dot next. Okay, I guess we throw the prettier ignore. Why doesn't this work? So that should work everywhere, right? Or I guess maybe it doesn't pick it up. Yeah, let's, you know what, let's throw it in here. Why not? I don't think we're going to be using prettier anywhere else, so let's check. We might as well throw in the prettier there, right? Because we're literally not going to have any other source code, so that's fine. Okay, we need the env. Oh my god, I just yeah, okay, those were my Twitter tokens, and I probably should revoke them now. I don't know if it's important or not. I mean, it's my development Twitter account, which is not super important, but now I have to remember to revoke them. Let me write this down somewhere. Whatever. Okay, let me just open the Twitter revoke tokens. I'll just make a note for myself, and then I'll do it after stream because, hey. Hey, Pego, welcome to the stream. All right, so we got that. This works. If I run analyze again, ESLint works, prettier works. We are all good, right? So, okay, so this is our basic. Let me think. We don't care about that. Editor config can leave there. Git ignore, exaframe ignore. That is all fine. Okay, cool. So I guess we can commit this. Is it ignoring? Yes. Okay, cool. So it's ignoring Next.js. It's ignoring node modules. So that is perfect. Git commit basic Next.js setup. Okay, so we did the basic Next.js setup, right? So this now works. And if I run dev, we are going to get our, what is it complaining about? Use of deprecated folder mapping in exports field resolution of post. Oh, okay, so a second, npm check. Let's try updating modules. Maybe there's something that is outdated, and that is why it's complaining, basically. Okay, patch update, yes. Minor updates, major update, promise. It's probably gonna fail because other packages depend on it, so we're just gonna update the minor ones. And I guess I haven't pushed the commit yet, so I can just amend it to what we have right now, right? npm run dev. Are you still complaining? No, you're not. Okay, cool. So we no longer have any complaints, and our website is... Are we working? Build page, compiling, yes. Okay, cool. So no more errors, no more complaints. We're all working. Let me amend that to the setup. Okay, cool. So we did that. Now let us do the Hasura bit. So this is going to be a bit more complicated, right? Hasura does require some work to set up. So I'm just going to go to their website and go to the docs. They have really, really well-written documentation. This is one of my favorite things about them, probably. We're going to go to the getting started and from scratch and using Docker. And they have a very good guide on how to basically do that. So they have the compose file that you can just basically download from them and tweak as needed. We are going to do exactly that. It's going to give us the Docker compose file. We are going to tweak it a bit. So I think for the local setup, this is perfectly fine. So you basically get your Postgres. They're using version 12 latest with the data mounted in a named volume, which works perfectly fine. You give it some password. And then you got the Hasura engine, for whatever reason, uses 1.3. Why is it using 1.3 where, oh yeah, there you go. There's the version 2. So let me just replace that with version 2 because version 2 is a lot better than version 1. So it is still alpha. Again, I already mentioned that, but nonetheless, it works really well. So what I'm going to do, instead of giving it the image, I'm actually going to create a Docker file with it, right? And say from this, because I think we might need to tweak some stuff, right? I'm going to leave the port. So the port 8080 is fine. I think we would need another port here, but we are going to tweak it a bit later. Okay, so we got our Hasura database URL, which is our Postgres URL, essentially. Nothing super fancy here. Now, here's the thing. By default, they tell you to enable the dev console, right? So we're actually going to disable that, and I will show you why in a second. While, you know, it's perfectly fine to enable it, it's actually a lot better to enable it using command line, because then Hasura will generate migrations for you, which is exactly what we want to have. So we're going to do that. So dev mode is going to be okay. So the logging, we're just going to leave it empty. And then we're going to have admin secret key. Let's call it local admin secret key, right? And that should be a string. I think that covers it. And let me think for a second. I think that covers it, actually. Why Hasura? Can we write custom resolvers in JS with Hasura? Hasura, because it saves you like literally hours of time on setting up the backend. It has everything baked in. And yes, you can have custom resolvers, and we are going to write custom resolvers, custom actions, custom functions. I will show you a lot of very cool things. There's a second Docker image that will also apply migrations directly on startup. We don't actually want to apply migrations directly on startup because we will be applying them remotely ourselves, which I think is a nicer way of doing that. But just let me show you. I know I've seen that image, but I personally don't really like that approach, because it's like, I guess it works fine for immutable deployments, but in our case, it's not going to be immutable. So it's okay. We're going to go with that. Okay. So I think, whoa. No. What are you doing? Okay, cool. So now we got this. Let me see. I got my Docker running. Let me just kill all I have and remove all my current images. Okay. And then we're going to start our Hasura. Okay, cool. So there is our ps-a. Right, seems to be working. So if we go to localhost 8080, we should see our, that is, so for whatever reason, I helped one of my friends debug his website, and Edge still has it in cache. Whenever I go to localhost 8080, if I run Hasura, if I don't append console here, it, for whatever reason, loads the cached website. I don't know why that happens. I wasn't able to fix that, but that's fine. Okay, so Hasura is actually alive and kicking. I believe GraphQL, yeah. So basically it will tell me that you cannot get GraphQL. What we want to do is now we want to, I guess, create a makefile here, right? And let's call a target console. And, okay, so first of all, we need to edit our config. We need to say that there is a new makefile. And this should be tabs, right? Tab. And then size doesn't matter. Okay, so we need to indent make files with tabs, right? So npx hasura cli. By the way, npx is my new favorite utility to run literally everything. And we want to do hasura cli. We want to do the console thing. Hell, if I remember what was the correct command. Let me see. Those are migrations. No, this is update cli, sid apply, metadata, migrate. Okay. Okay, first of all, yes, we need this admin secret thingy. And we need, where is Hasura cli console? Oh, it literally is console. I just didn't see it. Okay. Of course. I mean, it's, yeah. It's usually as easy as that. I'm just blind. Okay, so yeah, you literally say npx. Okay, 2 tabs is what I want. Thank you very much. Hasura cli console, and then you give your admin secret if there is any, right? So we do make console. And that will start. Okay, what is going on? Cannot find config YAML. What? I'm sorry, what now? Cannot find config YAML, search stopped, file system boundary hit. What the hell is this error? Oh yeah, right, because my secret is wrong, but why does it fail? Right. Let me fix the secret. So maybe just fixing the secret works? Is that what you know? Interesting. Okay. So if I do that, we should... No, okay. So that is a clear now, but... Config YAML migrations should be... Oh, I think I know. Wait a second. I think you need to run the... I think there was some sort of init thingy with a CLI where it generates this structure. I already don't remember anything. It's been quite some time since I set it up, but yeah. So we got the Hasura CLI, yes. Configuring reference. Hasura init, yes, there we go. I think we need to run the init, right? So let me... I guess I can just do that and then copy that. And instead of console, we would run init. Project name, let's call it bx.js Hasura, right? Oh, and it just created a new folder. We don't really need that. We can just drop everything over here. That is perfectly fine. So as you can see here, it basically generates a bunch of configs and a bunch of other files. The most important ones are metadata. So this is basically your Hasura metadata that describes the permissions, the rules, the relations, the different additional actions, query stuff, and so on and so forth. You got the migrations, which is something we're going to see in a second. And you got the seed data, which I think in this case we wouldn't actually need, but let's see how that goes. Okay, so make console should start working now. Yeah, right. Okay, and I need to forward the ports for the console because we haven't done that. Let me do that, right? So we need to docker compose stop, docker compose remove, docker compose up -d. So restart the whole thing, forward both ports. And now once we do make console, and if only I could type correctly. Address already in use. Oh, you don't actually have to buy. Oh, okay. So that's my bad. I don't actually have to do that. I am forgetting how things work. Okay, so I don't have to actually do that because it's the command line that actually starts that console on the local port. So it's like locally started. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so it works. So now we got our Hasura CLI. Okay, I don't want to see this anymore. Here's our database. It's completely empty right now, so we don't actually have anything, right? So what we're going to be doing right now is setting up Next-Auth, right? So Next-Auth is really nice, tiny library that allows you to, well, set up authentication for Next.js in a very simple way. And it basically supports just about any database backend, or, you know, you can even write your own custom adapter. In our case, we are just going to use Postgres. So it does support the Postgres as a database. And there's a default adapter. This does assume that basically your Postgres and Next website run on the same machine, or at least see each other, so they can access each other. The cool thing is that you can actually write your own Next-Auth adapter that just queries Hasura using GraphQL. That also works. And we did that for the current freelance project I'm working on, and it works really well. Like there's some caveats, obviously, but you know, like if you're deploying to two different clouds or something like that, then this works really well. But anyway, we need introduction. We need getting started. Yeah, there you go. So we got our pages API. Yeah, right. So there's this. Let's create that thing in the front end. Pages, new folder. No, wait, that's not the folder. We need new file, right? So we need API auth Next-Auth. Okay, so this is our file. We're gonna import that, and this example looks perfect because we are gonna be creating the authentication with GitHub. Okay, which means we also need to get the GitHub client ID and GitHub secrets. I assume you need to register the app for that. Right, so let's why not? Let's just do that here as well. That's gonna be homepage. Okay, session loading. Yeah, that's fine. Not signed in, signed in. Yep. That's good. So we don't actually care about that. Is the use session? Yeah, session boolean. Okay, cool. So that's fine. And we need the app, right? So we need the app thingy, app.js wrapper that will put on the provider. Okay, so those are the three. All right, and then there's the Next-Auth URL thingy, which is HTTP in our case, localhost 3000. Okay, that's good. Kill that. That is fine. That is fine. Okay, so now here is the database URL, but I think in our case, since we're going to be using the Postgres, I believe there's a Postgres. Okay, so we definitely need the schema. Can I just provide a URL without actually doing any adapter thing, and will it just work? Okay, setting up a database. Postgres, yes. Okay, so I can just provide a Postgres URL and that should work, right? So database URL, again, where's my environment file? Database URL, okay. So Postgres, our user is Postgres, password is, what did we use as a password? Was Postgres password, yes, very, very secure. Let's just call it localhost, and that is, database name. I think it's Postgres as well, right? By default, if I remember correctly. So since we're using the default config for everything, it's probably going to be Postgres, which is perfectly fine for us. Now, what do we need to do? Oh yeah, we need to actually install the Next-Auth, right? Because that is a thing I somehow missed. Check out the example code, getting started. Example app, why doesn't it says what I need to install? Okay, I mean, I guess I can find it. Some of the docs for the Next-Auth are not exactly the greatest, but we can work with that. Once you set it up, it actually works really well. Example app, there we go. So what I want to know is which packages do I actually need? I assume it's going to be Next-Auth and PG or something, right? So let me go to the, cd frontend npm install Next-Auth. Do I need a PG thing? Well, let's try to run it and see if it complains or not. I'm going to fire up a second tab to have my Hasura console running. So Hasura over here, make console so that we got the console running. Okay, npm run dev. I assume it's gonna start complaining right about now. That will it? Compiling. Okay, no, it doesn't complain. Okay, let's try to reload. Okay, there we go. There's our complaints. Algorithm not whitelisted. Next-Auth URL environment variable not set. What do you mean it's not set? Did I not set it in my .env? .env example. There it is, right? Localhost 3000. Hey, Marco, welcome to the stream. Doing good. How are you, man? Okay, so why does it not... Oh, right, because I'm an idiot and there should be that all of that stuff. So I actually don't need this, right? So we only need that stuff now. I'm gonna quickly replace this and copy this here. Right, I am forgetting where Next.js picks things up from, so that should fix it. And right now we should get a different error, which probably complains that I haven't forwarded the, the Postgres ports, but actually can't connect to it. No errors. Okay, well, let's try signing in. Sign in with GitHub. Right, another problem. We need the GitHub credentials. So this is something I completely forgot. So we need GitHub ID and we need the... Oh, what else is there? GitHub secrets. Okay, where the hell do you get them? Let's try to find it. Let me copy this to my env, and we are gonna edit it over here. Okay. So, Next-Auth probably has a link. No, we need authentication providers. Where's the GitHub? There's the GitHub. Okay, yeah, there you go. GitHub settings apps. Okay, let's create a new app. My password. There you go. Okay, let's call it bx.js website, right? Or maybe just bx.js works, right? bx.js platform for JavaScript, for all things JavaScript. Let's put it this way. Homepage URL. It's gonna be bxjs.dev. There's still this very old website. Callback URL. Okay. What is our callback URL? GitHub is there. So this is the guide for the workflow. So what I want to know is the callback URL for the GitHub provider. Needs to be an auth app, not a normal app. Do you think so? I mean, does this not provide? Do they have? Wait a second. Oh, you are absolutely right. There is an auth app. Yep. Okay. So bx.js, yes. That is our bx.js dev. Okay. bx.js platform for all things JavaScript. Okay. And they're all with documentation. Okay, can I redirect URL? I mean, I guess I can just say localhost 3000 for now and then later update it to whatever, right? Unless they permit redirect URLs. They permit it for like good, bad. Yeah, okay. Localhost redirects. The optional redirect parameter can also be used for localhost or can call back redirect URI. Wait a second. What was the option? Is optional if left out. GitHub will to the call. Oh, okay. So the redirect URI, if not provided, then GitHub will use whatever is here. Okay, got it. Now the question is, what is the callback URI? That's another thing that annoys me to no extent about Next.Auth, is that while they have a ton of providers, they almost never mention what are the callback URLs. And you have to like, okay, let's go to the source code. Let's find the damn provider. API auth callback GitHub. Maybe, let's see. So where is the, no, that's GitLab. GitHub. Profile auth, okay. Oh, man, I don't remember where I looked it up. Okay, auth, well, let's try that. Yeah, why not? Let's try that. Thank you for sharing this, because last time I spent, I don't remember how long, but I spent like some time basically digging around the code, trying to figure out where is that callback URL. Do they actually have that in the docs? Authentication provider callbacks. No, this callbacks is what they have internally. Providers. How to API auth callback provider. Okay, so this is what we want. Okay, so they actually have it in docs. Is just obscured as hell. Where is? There's go. Okay, so it's actually API auth callback provider. Almost correct. So yeah, okay, your original URL was right. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, cool. So we can register that. There's our client ID and client GitHub secret. I mean, I guess I can just copy that and regenerate it later on because it's fine. It's not like generate a new secret. Yes, I will copy that. I will use it right here. Don't steal my GitHub secrets. I mean, I don't think it's useful anyway in this shape or form. But we're going to use it this way. Okay, so we don't need that anymore. We do need this, and we don't need that anymore. And this is all good as well. So I don't think we need that. Okay, let's go back. Let's go back. So now I think it should have everything set up. So if we click sign in with GitHub, it gives 404. Oh, right, because I should restart the app because it needs to reread the environmental variables, obviously. Okay, try that again. Sign in, and looks like the page is a ghost that it got. What? I'm sorry, what? Oh, okay. So it did redirect me to the local. Okay, localhost 3000. I guess by default it will always redirect to the one that we gave it. Error callback. Try signing in with different account. Okay, now here we go. So we got bad credentials. Okay, status 401 documents. Okay, bad credentials. Why is it bad credentials? I did provide, so GitHub secret, GitHub ID. We got both of them over here, right? Yes, that looks correct. So what am I doing wrong? Let me see. GitHub. So let's Auth apps. There's our app, right? So there's our auth app. Yes, that looks correct. List your, okay, we don't need to list anything. This is our secret. Added to minutes, last used within the last, okay, this looks correct. Should probably upload a logo at some point, but I can do that later. Okay, let me just throw it over there. Why is it not happy about my login? Okay, GitHub secret, GitHub login. Next-Auth URL. Next-Auth URL is localhost. Do you think that's why it's complaining? So, but this. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna. Where's my app? I'm just gonna edit that and put it to localhost 3000. There you go. That should fix it, right? So basically, no reason to complain anymore, and it should redirect us exactly. Oh, god damn it. Okay, well, it redirects correctly now, but there should not be HTTPS. There we go. Okay, let's try this again. I think that should. There we go. Okay, cool. Full personal data. Can I? So it wants to access organizations, but I don't really care about that. So I just want an email. Is there a way to configure the scope for it? GitHub. Okay. Next-Auth. So we want source providers GitHub, and we want options. Okay, so you can basically override anything. Okay, I guess we need this thing. So authorize client redirect scope is what we want. And okay, if not provided, scope defaults to an empty list for users that have not authorized any scopes for the application. So theoretically, user, okay, state sign up. Can I just like pass it like say scope and what are the scopes? Limited scopes. Okay, scopes for auth apps. No scope. I mean, I only want the emails basically, so I don't care about all the other data, and I don't want to scare people with other stuff. Read packages, write discussions, user email. There we go. So I just want user email. That's literally all I need here. Okay. I think Next-Auth sets a default scope value for scope. There we go. That looks a lot better. So now we only have email access and that's it, because we literally don't care about anything else. I don't want to scare anyone with, hey, I'm going to access all of your organizations. So that's good. Okay, if I click authorized, we're going to get redirected, and then now we're going to get errors. Right, okay, so first of all, we need to install the PG, which is exactly what I was expecting, because it needs some API to communicate to the Postgres, right? Okay, let me restart the whole thing, go into the home page. Come on now. Okay, we are compiled. I assume, so this now should not ask me anymore, we should just break here. And con refused, right, because I think I did not forward the port from my compose, right? So that was the problem. Yep, I did not do that. So we're going to say ports, and this is going to be that. We actually need this restart always here because it's a local dev environment, so whatever. Okay, see stop dcrm -f. Restart that thing, make console. Okay, come on, start up. There we go. Okay, I think now it should be able to actually connect, but now it will basically throw errors that, hey, there's no tables, right? Yes, okay, so now we get this error where it says, hey, query failed. I've tried to select account from accounts, but there's actually no table accounts, right? So that is perfectly fine. That is exactly what we expected because our database is empty. What we need now is this tables for accounts, sessions, users, verification requests, and then there's a bunch of indexes, right? That is perfectly okay. One way of doing that is we can just create this. We can, I guess maybe that's actually a better way. I wonder. Okay, you know what? I'm going to just show you how Hasura generates the my migrations, and then we're just gonna modify the migration manually to actually include all of that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a new table here with the UI, and we're gonna call it users, right? And it's gonna have, so what do we have here? We got all of that stuff. We're gonna have ID, which is an auto increment, primary key. It's actually serial here, not auto increment. Interesting. Come on now. Well, I guess, you know what? Auto increment, oh, come on. ID auto increment works as well, right? Because it doesn't really matter. So we got the name. And I'm gonna just use text here again, because the varchar is whatever. Text varchar is more or less similar. Again, I don't think anyone is gonna have a very long emails or very long usernames on GitHub, because GitHub does all of this validation for us, essentially. So this is gonna be a timestamp. Image is text as well. Next.js also supports JVT, so Next doesn't have to connect to the database. Yes, we can enable JVT as well, but for now, let's just go with the current way of doing things, basically. So, okay, created that, updated that, the default columns, very handy. And primary key ID. Okay, so we configured that from the Next.auth setup, and once I click add table, this will add the table, right? But that's not the most important part. The most important part is actually it automatically generated a migration for us. So you can see here, we now have the migrations, default, and then there's the timestamp, create table public users, right? So this actually has the down migration, which will, you can roll it back if you want to, right? So in this case, it just drops the table. And up migration, which will create the table and yeah, do whatever you want. Another cool thing is that if we go ahead and create another table right now, so if we say create sessions, right? So we go, okay, we got sessions table. We got frequently used ID with auto increment. We got the user ID, which is, I probably should stop copying this, which is just an integer. We got the expires, which is a timestamp. Again, this is just to demonstrate the automatic migrations and what you can do with them, because they are incredibly cool. But yeah, normally you would just copy the whole thing and use it as a migration itself, because that works perfectly fine. Okay, 2 columns, so we want created and updated. Save that. So now we have those 2 migrations, right? So there we go. And cool thing is I can stop this and I can say, okay, npx hasura cli migrate squash, right? So there we go, there's my squash. I already did that a few times. So essentially what you can do is you can say, okay, so this is my users, or I guess let's call it Next-Auth, right? So you call your batch migration something. I think the key in our case is also different, so that should be local admin secret key. So let me insert that here. And from should also be different, because this is a timestamp. So in our case, the timestamp is this one. Copy relative path. Let me just we don't need that. We just need this first. Oh, come on. Just need this first bit. So we paste this, hit enter, and it will ask you, like, hey, we actually squashed it. Do you want to delete the original files? We're going to say no for now. And you're going to see that we now have a new migration that is called Next-Auth that includes both of those things. So it creates both tables. It creates the, well, I mean, there's a bit more because it's a bit more complex than what we had, or rather than what the Next-Auth has in their schema, because their timestamps, well, okay, I guess it's not too different from it, but yeah, since Hasura works with GraphQL, they have to create this triggers basically for the updated records and so on and so forth. So it's a bit different. But essentially, yeah, this is the way it works. The cool thing is you can apply those migrations to remote thing very easily. So like you have the remote deployment and you can just say, hey, I'm going to apply that. Well, we're at it. You know what? I think I'm going to just manually create the rest of the tables because, again, Hasura handles this slightly differently. So I would want to have it in Hasura way rather than Next-Auth way, because we will query it with Hasura as well. So we got the identifier, which is the text. We got the token, which is the text. Okay. Hey, Johnny Mnemonic, welcome to the stream. It's been a long time indeed, as I'm trying to get back, and hopefully it will work out better this time around, but we're gonna see how that goes. Okay, so we got that. We created the what? Hasura? Oh, god damn it! Wait a second. Okay, I'm an idiot. I stopped the console. I was like, why doesn't it work? Okay, right, of course. And that will probably drop all my, yeah, okay, of course it will drop all my stuff. No, okay, that's fine. It's not too complex, so we're perfectly good. So we got identifier, text, we got token, that is also text. We got expires, which is a timestamp, and then we got the created and updated it, right? So that's all we need. And then we got the last table, which is accounts. So we're just gonna create it. If you noted, I'm creating it in the public workspace essentially because Next-Auth, by default, their driver doesn't support any namespacing schemas or anything like that. So it will query the tables just by the table's name, which means you have to create them in a public workspace. But that doesn't mean we have to create the other tables in there, which is quite handy. Okay, compound ID is going to be text. User ID is going to be our user ID integer. So we don't actually need to set up any of this, right? I think we do need to set up the users table because, oh, wait a second. So this is what, varchar. I'm going to go with text because why not? Being lazy here and just using text everywhere. I mean, I think it's not too different from varchar. Again. I don't think any of those values are going to be too big, so I guess it's more correct to use varchar, but I'm too lazy to scroll to it all the way down, and, you know, it's just, it works fine. Famous last words. Okay, so we're going to go with timestamp over here, and then we got created, updated. I also absolutely love this frequently used columns thing. Okay, so now we got all the tables. Theoretically, we should be able to actually log in. So let's see. If I go here, if I sign in, this does the callback, and no, we are still not signing in. What is going on? Insert into users. Failing row contains. So what is the error? Null value in email verified violates. Oh, okay. So I forgot to make some of the columns nullable, I guess. Right. Okay. Yes, that's my fault. So users modify. So what do we need to do here? So email verified and image should be nullable. Okay, so this should be nullable. Now, again, you see I'm doing all of that, and every time I do some changes, we get a new migration that does exactly that. It changes the column to nullable. It changes one column to nullable, and you can roll it back if you want to. All through the very nice and handy CLI. Okay, so those are all non-nullable. Those are all non-nullable. Okay, refresh and access token are nullable. Okay, that is in the accounts. Refresh and access token nullable. Yes, there we go. Access token. Okay, I think that should do it. Okay, let me try to log in again. I think we should be able to log. No. Okay, what is going on now? Failing row contains error. Null value in column access token expires. Okay, did I? Oh, right. Okay, I missed one more. Right, of course. I should have looked more carefully when doing that. But I think now it should work. Okay, it's gonna work from some try. Are we good? To confirm your identity, sign in with the same account you used originally. I'm sorry, what now? What account? Failing row, null value in access token expires. Wait. Access token expires. I did say it's a nullable now, right? Yes. It just created some account for me and then tells me, okay, let me just kill that. Let's try to sign in again. Maybe it just worked something. Sign in. Hey, it works. Okay, cool. So we're actually working. Right, let us squash all of those migrations. So I'm just gonna execute the same thing. and I'm not going to delete them now. So we're going to have a look. So we got this Next-Auth migration, which is down, basically going to remove all of those tables. Again, as you can see, it just basically concatenates all the down migrations. So it will undo all the changes, which is, again, since we're dropping tables, is not really required, but I'm just going to leave it like this. Again, creates all the tables, creates all the triggers, all the functions, whatever we used, and then alters the tables, which might be, you know, not the ideal way, but it works. So we're going to go with that. And let me think. So git add, where am I? I'm in Hasura. Git status. All right, because we haven't actually added this this thing at all. Okay, let me do it. So now we know that it actually generates it correctly. I'm gonna rerun it, and I'm gonna say that yes, delete everything else, right? So we now have one nice migration for Next.js. All right. Hey Sandaro, welcome to the stream. No, wait, no, don't move anything. That is not what I wanted to do. Okay, so I think now we can actually commit that, right? Because we have the basic auth setup. Right, okay, so let's check what we got here. There's our migration, there's the metadata, there is the front end. Okay, cool. Okay, setup basic auth using GitHub auth and Next-Auth, right? So there's a lot of auth in there, but that will work. Okay. Hey, by tennis, welcome to the stream. Thank you. Okay, so we did that. We got the whole thing with the... Yeah, so this setup was a lot easier than I expected it to be. What can we do additionally? Let me... What am I... Where's my live stream chat? There we go. I just closed everything. Okay, cool. Let me think for a second. So what do we want to do? So we would need to deploy that to the server as well, right? And I think I'm just going to use Exoframe for that. Maybe we can deploy the Hasura and then finish on this, because I don't think deploying front end instead of what we have right now it makes any sense, because, well, right now there's a BXJS is a website, even though it's quite outdated, but there's still some stuff here. But if we deploy this, there's going to be nothing, which is not extremely helpful to anyone, basically, right? Okay, so yes, I need to regenerate the secret here. That's fine. Let me think for a second. 50 minutes later, this is literally the hardest part of the whole setup. Like from here on, right? You just go into the Hasura, you just say make console. You go into your console UI, you say, okay, I need a table. Like next time we're going to do the tweets. You say, okay, now I want the schema for tweets, right? And I want a table for tweets. And then you go into the events, you create a cron trigger that runs the Twitter scraper every half an hour and inserts the stuff into tweets. And you got your GraphQL API with tweets. It is insanely easy. Like, yes, it's like, okay, an hour to set up authentication. How long would it take for you to do without all of this help from, those super handy tools? The cool thing is that we didn't just get authentication. We also got a GraphQL API. I can now literally query users and say, hey, give me all the users who have like email, name, image, and whatever. And okay, I have my outdated variables here. And there you go. There's my GraphQL users, right? Query. It works. I didn't have to do anything to get this GraphQL API. And I even get stuff like filtering, ordering, offsetting, distinct, and so on and so forth. No, I mean, it is, come on, it is simple in comparison to, doing all of this manually, basically. But yes, I know that you just have to screw with me on the stream. But anyway, okay, let me think for a second. So we did that. I committed everything. I'm going to push that live. What did I want to do? Yes, I wanted to deploy this, or at least I wanted to deploy the Hasura on the server, right? So what we're going to do with that is, again, I'm going to use Exoframe. And for Exoframe, I'm going to deploy... So there's basically a bunch of ways to do that, right? So normally, of course, you can just go into the server, set up the Postgres there, and then deploy the Hasura in some way, again, either with Docker or something. I don't usually deploy Docker Compose because it essentially ties Hasura and Postgres together, right? So next time I redeploy it, it will tear down the Hasura, it will tear down the Postgres, which is something I don't want, and then set them up again. While it does persist the data in the volume, I don't really see a reason to tear down and set up the Postgres on any Hasura redeployment. It just doesn't make any sense. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to set up the DB deployment as one exaframe project, right? Whoops, that is a quote I don't need there. So I'm going to say exaframe inits, and we're going to say, okay, so this is bx.js db, right? It's not going to be a function. It's not going to have a domain. The port doesn't care about ports. Let's call it bx.js website. So it's going to be a project for bx.js website. Now we are going to have Postgres password, right? So I'm just going to leave it like this for now, but we're going to change it in the file later on. We don't care about the labels. We do care about the volumes. So we're going to create this volume. Let's call it bx.js db data. We don't care about the rate limits. Hostname is going to be bx.js Postgres. So we need some hostname to address it. We don't care about the restart policy right now. No templates, no compression. We don't care about loads encrypt. And it's going to be deployed from the image. So I'm going to say that this is going to be deployed from the Postgres 12, right? So we're actually just using the image. And we don't care about that. And we don't care about the auth. Okay. So now that we have our exaframe JSON here, we can actually kill a bunch of things here that we don't need. I'm going to move the image over here. Okay. And we would need to generate some, I guess I would use the secret to actually have some better password here, but for now that is fine. So essentially what that does is it's going to deploy just Postgres, right? And it's not going to be, that should actually be not a string, that should be false. It will be deployed once and it will be persistent, and then we just basically connect to it using the hostname from our Hasura, and that's it. So we don't touch it anymore almost at all. Like maybe if we want to upgrade the Postgres version or something, right? So exaframe, let me just make sure that I am on a correct endpoint. I am, and I'm gonna deploy it with verbose modes. Okay, so it's going to pull the image because I don't think I've had Postgres on my server deployed. Those GraphQL limitations publicly available. Yeah, so currently all of the, I did stop it. So basically by default, all of the stuff is only allowed. So all of the GraphQL endpoints for Hasura are only allowed with the admin token. So admin access essentially. And if you want them to be available to authorized or non-authorized user, you have to explicitly add permissions. We're going to do that next live stream. Okay, so we now deployed our bx.js database, right? So there's our Postgres. There's the bx.js Postgres. It is running. It doesn't fit on the screen, but that's perfectly fine. Okay, now we are going to deploy our... what is my brain doing today? Now we're going to deploy our Hasura. Going to call it bx.js Hasura. It's not going to be a function. It will have a domain, so let's call it GraphQL bx.js.dev. I think my DNS is configured correctly. I don't honestly remember. We don't need port. I don't care about the project. Okay, so we do need all of those variables. Again, I think I'm just going to insert one and then we can basically edit that and add all the others. Right, labels, we don't care. Volumes, do we care? No, we don't need volumes, right? Because it just uses the Postgres essentially. Rate limit, no. Host name doesn't matter. Whoops. Okay, you know what? That's fine. That's perfectly fine. No let's encrypt, no Docker image, and no basic auth. Okay, cool. So we now got our, can kill all of that because we literally don't need that. Right, so okay, so first of all, our host name for the Postgres, what was the host name? bx.js Postgres, right? So this is what we want to use here. No SSL because it enabled by default, so I don't have to explicitly say enable it again, basically. It's like, it's just, this exists in exaframe because some people, for whatever reason, decide to opt out of SSL, but want some websites with SSL. I usually do it the other way. So I never actually had to turn it off so far, but this option exists basically. Okay. So we got this dev mode false, console false. Okay, Hasura. I guess in this case, I don't even know if we need the logs there. Okay. Right. I'm gonna leave the secret for now like this. I don't remember if I have the DNS configured, but we're gonna find out in a second. Okay, and we need another file. So we need this exoframe ignore actually over here. And we will edit it. So we need DB, we need metadata, we need migrations, we need seeds, we need config YAML, we need Docker compose, and we need to ignore so basically we ignore almost everything. We just include the Docker file, and that's essentially it. Okay, exoframe minus VVV, so just deploy it verbally. So it will pull and build our Hasura image. I don't think it actually, like, I mean, I guess the Docker file right now is just literally from Hasura, so we don't actually do anything super fancy here. Question is my DNS configured? So we're gonna find out in a second. Your connection isn't private. Yeah, so it's gonna take a few seconds for the certificate to work, but I think, yeah, the console, yeah, okay, so the console is disabled, which makes perfect sense. Why is it saying, what are there any errors? Did I screw something up? Starting API. Oh, okay, it's just starting. Console, what is going on now? Starting API server, help us improve Hasura. Okay, that's fine. So it doesn't seem like there's any errors, right? Oh, I probably should wait a second. That's probably because of the port, right? Because let me just SSH into my VM and yes, update my Z shell. Let me just check out this real quick. So we got the Hasura, and I think let me just dock this here. So the port, what is going on? Okay. Hasura. It doesn't expose any ports by default. Okay, that might be the problem. Right, so we need to tweak our Docker file a bit, I think. Expose 8080, right? And then I guess we can just say 80 port 8080. God damn it, I forgot what was the port. That is not what I want. Exoframe init. Yes, no, yes, port 8080 is what we want. Just leave that. Oh god, come on. So I think it is port, just port. I need some better, okay. I think it's time for me to finally rewrite exoframe. Okay, minus update, so redeploy that. Okay, I think now that should start working. There we go. Okay, so now it actually works. And yeah, of course, so we don't have console running, which makes perfect sense. So now what we can do, that is another cool thing of Hasura, is that you can use Hasura CLI to effectively manipulate yes, admin secret, but we want, I think it's called endpoint. So we can basically tell it to start the console on a given endpoint. Invalid admin secret. Our key is graphical admin secret. Oh, right. That is wrong. I think this should be correct. And yeah, there you go. So now we have locally a console for our remote Hasura that nobody else can open. This is mind-blowingly cool. Like, you can literally just go and view your database, and then you just stop it, and unless you know the admin secret, nobody else can do that. And this is probably one of my favorite parts about the Hasura. Another one is that you can actually so we can, let me think. So I'm going to start the console here. And what I'm going to do now is we're going to apply that migration that we did. Let me just make it a bit bigger. GitHub building X Hasura. Okay, npx Hasura CLI migrate apply. Okay, I am gonna. Right, so we need to tweak some things here. So this is the project that I'm working on essentially, the dev endpoint that we're using. So I'm gonna paste in our Next.js, our admin secret. Obviously, I need to change that to some secret key because otherwise anyone will have access to that, which is not something we want. But for now, it's fine. And then we just get this migration. So I'm gonna copy relative path, get this code from here, right? So the timestamp. I just say that, I run it, and I just remotely applied migration. So if we go to our console, again, this is console for our remote Hasura, right? And where is, oh, right, because I need to apply because it's not enough to apply the migration. You also need to apply the metadata, because it's also important. Hasura CLI metadata. What was the command for it? It was like Hasura CLI metadata apply or something. Yes. Okay. Metadata. Okay. Hasura CLI metadata apply. I don't think we need a database. I think that should do it. Yep. Okay. So now that we applied metadata, if I reload that, there you go. All of our tables with all of our schemas, with all of our relations, permissions. Well, we didn't set up any, but they are all here now, and we can actually connect our front end to this from anywhere, and it will work just as we want. And there's a graph IQL where we can query for whatever. Obviously, it's empty right now, but that's a different question. At the moment, you can only access the Postgres server inside the server. Yes. What if you wanted to access it from outside? Is that the TCP port thing? So the exaframe itself doesn't support TCP forwarding, but you can do that with the traffic. So what you can do is basically the exaframe allows you to set labels, and you can basically set traffic labels that will forward the TCP port. That is doable. I never done it myself, but you can do that. I never could make that work. I actually haven't tried it. Like, it should work in theory at least, but the traffic docs are like this. The traffic is extremely complicated thing, and yeah, it takes usually a long time to figure out how the hell does it work. There's actually an image with Hasura with migrations auto apply. Well, the thing is that we don't want to apply migrations automatically, and we actually want to apply it manually, right? Because sort of the way I found that works best for me is that I work on something, I generate like a bunch of migrations, and then once I'm ready to deploy, I just apply migrations starting from the latest one I did, and it just works. It's pretty fantastic. Well, you're gonna see the next live stream, I guess. Okay, let me commit that. Git status, git commit. Setup exaframe deployment for Hasura. Okay. Right. Next live stream tomorrow. No, sorry, but that's a bit too quick. Maybe Friday. Like, I'm not sure yet how the time will be, but I definitely should have enough time next week. So maybe Wednesday again. I'm hoping to return to my normal schedule where I stream on Wednesdays. So we're gonna see how that goes. Okay, but yeah, that is actually it from my side. So I'm gonna push that. I'm also gonna change all the secrets off stream because I'm pretty sure I burned all of my tokens for Twitter, for GitHub, for, well, just about everything. So I have to regenerate those now, but that's not a big deal. Yeah, okay. So hopefully you guys learned something new. If you got any questions or suggestions, feel free to throw them into the comments. If you got any improvements, pull requests welcome. So all of that lives on an AI branch, and we're going to continue. So next week, we're going to start with a more interesting thing. I guess I could deploy it as a beta.bxjs.dev or something, the front end, I mean, but we're going to do that next time. So I think it's not important right now. But yeah, again, so Hasura is hands down my most favorite way to work with the backends right now. It's literally amazing. And again, it's still alpha, version 2, but it's already so damn flexible and so damn helpful that it's just mind-blowingly cool. All right. Well, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the show. And again, have an awesome rest of the week. And I see you next week for the continuation of the whole thing. If you got any questions, again, comments down there or join our Discord chat to discuss any of that. We'll be more than happy to chat. And I see you next time.